Welcome back. I asked some of my Facebook friends to ask me any general interest questions of things they'd be curious to know about me. So I thought this segment would be a good way to help you guys get to know me more. So let's start with one. Gina says, name three of your favorite hobbies and activities. Well, one of them is books. I'm a big literature enthusiast. You probably figured that out last week based on my book recommendations. I'm also too old-fashioned that I like turning actual pages of books rather than reading an ebook. Uh, Another is films and film history. I'm into contemporary films, obviously, and I'm full of Oscar trivia that I can answer almost anything. But lately I've been getting into older movies, but no later than the 1940s. I saw Mrs. Miniver recently, and I thought that was actually very good. And one of my favorite black and white movies is the 1951 version of A Streetcar Named Desire. But I'm still getting into them, and I'm still watching more. And another hobby is collecting postcards. I buy postcards in gift shops all the time, but I never send them because I like the picture so much. And my collection recently expanded because I found like 50 vintage postcards in my grandfather's house. And what I love especially about them is when they have writing on them, and that's what makes them even more sentimental. So, three hobbies so far, but more I'll explain later because I have so much. Eileen asks, what is the very best book that you've ever read? Tough question, Eileen. I have such a big collection of books that I still have to get to. And while I read books that I connect with so well, I haven't found the best book yet. There were books that I loved, books that I relate to, books filled with so much pathos, but I just haven't had that best book feeling yet. But I'm sure I will eventually. She also follows up with another question after that. Are there any criteria that a book has to have in order to pique your interest? Definitely. Little things will draw me away from a book. When I'm browsing novels in bookstores, and the premise on the back of them say, after the death of her husband or something, then I'll stop right there. I won't even finish reading the premise of it. Or if a novel takes place in, like before the 1970s or something, then I'll also put it down. Period novels and historical novels are not my thing either. But Shakespeare in Love is a great movie, and I know while that's historical fiction, I never really read historical fiction, but I don't think I might want to either. And lots of people, it's common, lots of people don't read historical fiction, but mine is probably for a different reason. Marlene asks, what got you interested in movies and the Academy Awards? I've never really thought about that before, Marlene. I've always been interested in the film business and how the movies are made, and all the Oscar trivia that I know is just because I read facts and statistics, and I just remember them, and it's always drawing me back in. So I'm always really into it, and I've always been into the film business. I never really knew what made me what started it, but I've always loved it. She also follows up with a question. Any specific film or event, like a wow moment that you can pinpoint? Well, American Beauty is a very metaphorical film that you can't watch just to watch it. It's too complex. It's not like, oh, I feel like watching a movie, what should we watch kind of movie. It's when you're watching it, you really have to study it because it's brilliantly written and acted, and it has a great story. It's a very good movie. Ordinary People is another one of those types of movies that's emotionally captivating. But one of my favorite movies from 1978 is Coming Home. It has its very emotional factors, but they were so sweet. Ordinary People focuses on a family dealing with tragedy, but Coming Home has more of a romantic pathos to it. However, there are movies that I love so much, but they don't top my number one favorite movie, which is Chicago. The 2002 release of Chicago. It's just, I've never even saw that in theaters, and I love it. It's just incredible. All four of the movies I just mentioned are not "I'm bored" or "It's a rainy day" kind of movies. They're movies that one should focus on when watching. Eric asks, "What's the goal for Project 52?" It's really about expressing my creativity. I've been told that I'm an introverted person, and I don't doubt that, because ordinarily I don't like being the center of attention in some cases. But I was watching John Green's vlog, and it looked so cool and so creative and funny, and I kind of wanted to try that. Because when it comes to blogging, I don't do that often. I have a Tumblr if you want to find it, which is just my first name and last name. It's just Kiri Polhammer if you want to find it and see what I've posted. And I post on it kind of rarely, like once a month. And but for Project 52, I thought really I would spend a year expressing myself and also hoping that John Green sees this too. Okay, so I appreciate the questions. If you have any more, just leave them right down there in the comments and I'll be sure to get to them. And I'll see you next week.